Hey guys, it's Pineapple, and in this video, we're going to continue talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. Check out my last video on it in case you missed it, but this time we're actually going to be talking about a story that takes place before episode 1 of the anime. Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is a prequel manga to the main series, which is 4 chapters long, and it introduces us to characters that we then go on to see in the main series. The story here is really absorbing, and even though it's short, I thought it was really engaging, so I wanted to make sure that nobody missed out on it before the Jujutsu Kaisen anime starts on October 2nd. Before we start, I want to remind you guys you can follow me on Twitter at VocalPineapple to keep up with my thoughts and predictions, and you can hit that like button to support the video, or subscribe and click that bell icon to keep up with my uploads. With that said, let's get to this strange and dark story after that intro. Hit it! Our story begins with Yuta Okkotsu, and he finds himself in an odd situation. You see, he's a young man, 16 years old, but somehow he's sitting in an isolation cell at Jujutsu High. And to make things stranger, he's awaiting an execution that he himself agreed to. The reason? Well, he's scared that he'll get people killed because he's cursed. Why is he so sure that he's so dangerous that he needs to be put down? Well, we cut back to a flashback of Yuta in the classroom, and some jerks are bothering him. As Yuta stands near the windows with a worried look on his face, one of his classmates starts to loosen his own jacket and get excited at the thought of how badly he's about to beat Yuta down. As he gets closer and closer, Yuta begins shaking. He looks terrified, and this, of course, makes this weirdo classmate of his all the more excited for this incoming pummeling. But the bully isn't what Yuta was afraid of after all. Before the bully gets too close to Yuta, our timid main character looks up and screams at a spirit that has appeared in the room. He calls her by her name, Rika, and tells her she isn't allowed to be here, as she grabs the bully from behind and forces all of them into a single locker. Yuta's left there apologizing over and over to the bully and his friends as something packs their bodies down into disfigured cubes within the locker. This is a terrifying situation, and if the curse is really haunting Yuta with no hope of him getting rid of it, I could see how he would think that maybe just being executed would save others from getting harmed like his classmates. It shows us early on that curses and cursed spirits are really dangerous, and they can easily attack multiple people successfully without those people really having any way of defending themselves. This is why Jujutsu sorcerers or shamans are necessary, but if you want to know more about the basics of the school and the world itself, feel free to watch that video I mentioned at the very beginning, since it'll answer any questions that you may have. A man known by the name of Satoru Gojo enters the room where Yuta is being held, and they have a short conversation about this curse that Yuta is affected by. It seems like the curse that hurt his classmates won't stop haunting him, but it also won't let him injure himself in any way either, so while it is a problem, it can also be a source of protection. Gojo is also known as the man with 6 eyes, so he sees potential in Yuta and puts him in a team of students who go to an entirely different kind of school than the one that Yuta is probably used to. These 3 are Jujutsu sorcerers studying at Jujutsu High. From the left to the right, we have Maki Zenin, Panda, and Toge Inumaki. I know Panda stands out immediately as really strange, especially when you realize that Panda speaks fluent Japanese and has a really interesting fighting style, but that's just one of the many strange things that you'll get used to in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Sort of like how Inumaki only communicates by naming foods. Those 2 weirdos are kept in line by Maki, who I think could probably put either of them down with her incredible talent as a member of a prestigious family in the world of Jujutsu sorcery, even though she has no cursed energy of her own. This team of 4 students, which like I said also includes Yuta, is tasked with studying and defeating curses on a day-to-day basis. At first, everyone is a bit apprehensive because they can all see Yuta's curse behind him, lingering in the shadows, looking ominous. And that's of course really off-putting for a first impression. But Gojo, being the great guide that he is, steers the mood in a calmer direction. Gojo explains the nature of curses to our crew, and he tells them that in Japan, the number of people who die mysterious deaths or go missing is on average over 10,000 a year. Gojo claims that most of that is due to curses, which are created from the negative thoughts and emotions of human beings. Somehow this negative energy is released by most people living on the planet, and it's empowered by evil actions or people's fears. To kill a curse, cursed energy is employed by a shaman to exorcise it. But this can be done in a number of ways, especially since everyone's techniques are different. Yes, Yuta is cursed, but that doesn't mean that he can't be valuable in exorcising other curses, if his curse is utilized in the right way. That said, that does demand that the curse is under some level of control, which at this point in this 4-chapter series is a big problem, as his curse even attacks his teammates, causing us to truly find out the true nature of Yuta's curse. The name of Yuta's curse is Orimoto Rika, and she's classified as a special grade cursed spirit. 6 years before Yuta started at Jujutsu High, he was friends with a young girl named Rika. The two of them were hanging out in a park, sitting in a sandbox while other kids played in the background. Rika wished Yuta a happy birthday, and he was really excited and grateful for the gift, even though the gift was something that I'm sure he wasn't expecting. This girl got Yuta a ring and told him that it was an engagement ring for their future, that the ring signified a promise that when they both grew up, they would get married. They crossed pinkies on it and both started walking home in the same direction when things took a really horrible turn. Rika was struck by a car, and the car ran over her head. Yuta was in denial for a moment, clearly in shock from what he was seeing, and that's the moment strange things started happening. Rika's body twitched. Her finger, it moved. And then her hand started to move a bit. And slowly, Yuta realized that the body was crawling towards him. He stood there shaking as it got closer and closer, and he can hear her saying his name. Yuta. And as he looked down to see what was supposed to be her crushed head that was saying these things, what he saw was a huge open mouth with big teeth in a puddle, with 2 large strong arms that grabbed onto Yuta's legs. The mouth looked distorted and almost upside down like, and its words reminded Yuta of his promise. Once we become adults, we'll get married. So that is our boy's situation. He's haunted by the girl he promised to marry, even though they were far too young to get married anytime soon. And ever since then, the cursed spirit has been very protective of Yuta, to the point of killing anyone who gets too close to him and seems like they might bully or hurt him. This ends up being a lot of people, I'd bet, because Yuta himself has become a really timid and quiet person, so honestly I think even anyone talking a little too loud to him would probably send Rika going off. For Yuta, going on missions is only going to help him gain control of Rika, or at least come to some sort of understanding as time goes on. So going on these missions serves as a great alternative to being executed. Yuta's first mission is at a school where students are known to go missing. He heads there with Maki, Panda, Toge, and Gojo, but Gojo quickly separates from the group after putting up a screen over the area. Now, a screen is pretty much a dome that makes it so that normal people can't see what's going on within a certain space. So let's say there's some big battle happening in a building enveloped by a screen. People on the outside will only see a normal building, even if the building was torn apart. But of course, that's only until the screen is lifted. Now in the school, Maki and Yuta pair up, as Maki tears a few curses apart and questions Yuta about his rank. And that is when Maki realizes that even though Yuta seems pretty much helpless, his school ID says that he's a special grade shaman, which puts him above all the other shaman grades which are ranked from 4th to 1st. She's really confused by this, but she doesn't have much time to think about it because a big larvae-like creature fills the hallway behind them and smashes the hallway to bits as it crawls through, trying to get a hold of our 2 sorcerers. Maki tries to use her cursed weapon to defend them both, but the 2 get swallowed by the curse and end up in its stomach. Unfortunately, Maki dropped her weapon on the outside, so it seems like there's no way for them to get out, and things quickly start to fall apart. Yes, they do find the 2 students who've most recently gone missing within this cursed stomach. However, anyone who has a cut or injury while within this thing gets cursed and starts to form disgusting looking wounds that look like eyeballs. With no other option, Maki looks to Yuta for help and questions him on what it is that he really wants. What is it that he wants more than anything? And his answer is that he wants to be needed by someone. He wants the confidence to live and to know that him living is okay because he isn't a burden on others. Maki tells him that all of that will come as a result of him enrolling in Jujutsu High, because those are things that one gains on the path of a Jujutsu shaman. But the first step is exorcising curses. So she tells him to take that step, and he does. Yuta puts Rika's engagement ring on and asks her to lend him her power. On the outside of the building, you can see this massive curse sprouting from the school, spilling out onto the roof. In a flash, a large cursed spirit comes flying out of the beast and crushes its head. As Yuta gets away with his friends and the kidnapped victims, the spirit finishes off the curse before returning to Yuta in the form of his friend as a young girl, instead of the large grotesque beast that it takes the form of to kill the larvae curse. This more human-like spiritual version of Rika encourages Yuta to continue walking down this path. And this first mission really serves to inspire Yuta to grow as a Jujutsu sorcerer. Yuta decides that somehow he's gonna save Rika from being a cursed spirit because he believed that he's the one that cursed her by binding her to him when they were younger. After this mission, the higher-ups in the Jujutsu Society are really angry that Yuta's cursed spirit was used so carelessly. They remind Gojo that Yuta's execution is technically only put on hold, but Gojo reminds them that at any moment, he could take them all down. So if it came down to the higher-ups versus Yuta, Gojo would side with Yuta, his precious student. You'll see more starting October 2nd when the actual full series starts, but Gojo is rather protective of his students, so I definitely think those higher-ups should keep their hands off. Gojo goes to Yuta and gives him some advice on giving a spirit a better life, and part of that is letting the curse possess other objects as Yuta gets more familiar with that object. In this instance, Gojo gives Yuta a sword and tells him that he should learn how to use it and also learn how to let his curse possess the sword, so the curse isn't just limited to being channeled through their engagement ring. In part 2, we'll pick up on what happens next as Yuta spends 3 months training with Maki before being sent on a new mission on Gojo's orders. I'll see you guys back here soon to get us all prepared for Jujutsu Kaisen in October, so please click like if you're enjoying this content or find it useful, hit subscribe if you're a new Jujutsu Kaisen watcher on this channel and you want more, and hit notify so you don't miss out on any new parts of this series. I'll see you guys later, it's Pineapple, I love you, stay safe, wash your hands, take care, peace.